It hurt. It's great now.
How are you? Thank you.
Thank you. No. And then no, I'm good. You know, yeah. Well, Vicki, are we okay to start? Okay. All right, welcome. Let's call this meeting to order. Just 2 minutes late. Thank you everyone for joining us today for the commission meeting of the Utah Department of Alcohol Beverage Services. Today is Thursday, February 23rd. So just glad to jump into our monthly meeting. I just want to give a sincere thank you to the team at DABS. We change the kind of cadence of meeting time and push this from Tuesday through Thursday, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but it does mean a lot of change in process in the department and juggling. It's been really helpful for me as a commissioner to have that little bit of extra time to review materials and work with you all to understand materials. So thank you. Thank you for making that accommodation. And so we'll continue with these Thursday meetings for the rest of the year. Let's go ahead and begin with a pledge of allegiance. And I think Joseph Ferrari is going to lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. All right, commissioners, the minutes from the January 26th meeting were included in the meeting materials. Hopefully you've all have had a chance to review them. Are there any things of note that need to be brought up? And if there are not, I'd be looking for a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
All right, moved by Commissioner Tui,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Randall. Just all in favor?
Aye.
All right, the meeting minutes are approved. Got a couple of announcements. As I mentioned, we have this year we'll be meeting on Thursdays. And so our next meeting will be March 30th. And then in our April meeting will be April 27th. Point on public comment, please make sure if you would like to share any public comment that you fill out, you place your name on the form at the back of the room. We will take public comment as it relates to specific action items with those action items, and then general public comment we will address at the end of the meeting. We have asked that those that are participating virtually who are not here in person, for those who do want to share public comment, that they email notice ahead of time to hotline@utah.gov. So that the closure time for that email was 5 p.m. yesterday, and I understand that we did not have anyone who emailed. All right, moving right along. We've got State Auditor Dougal here with us today and his team to present the audit plan for fiscal year 2023. Auditor Dougal, great to see you. Great to see the team too. Thank you.
Great to see you. Is this on? Okay.
Great.
You should have in your packet this one-page document. As you know, each year we're responsible to come audit different aspects of DAVS and their operations and activities. We approve this plan in conjunction with you, the commission. So this is our proposal. This year, looking at some regulatory aspects, follow up to last year's audit, looking at alcohol violation enforcement procedures. We also have a proposal to look at some package agency activities as it relates with type 5. Also on financial, to review the inventory accounting system, to follow up and do reconciliations to ensure that that is operating as expected. As you know, a few years ago, there were some issues there, so wanted to follow up there. And then on the operation side, look at some staffing strategies, governance models, inventory practices, and also especially look at rare and high demand product distribution processes in other locations. There's been some issues there, and so it's been suggested that we also review that in the state of Utah. So that is our proposal. I'm open for any questions.
We appreciate that, Auditor. I just want to thank you for your leadership on this. I know that you've been very involved in putting this plan together, and then also want to thank Bertha and Jordan for just being so comprehensive and kind of helping us to prioritize, or helping to prioritize risk for the entity. So are there any questions of the commission for the auditor or his team? Just want to say especially thank you for the review of the violation enforcement procedures. There are like 20% of the violations that we're looking at are have violation history today. So just, I think that you pointed out some things in your last audit that were really helpful to us. And I think that, you know, the continued look hopefully will help there. So thank you for that. And then also, I think that the review of the inventory accounting system is particularly important given the size of this operation and the revenue that it generates for the state. So thank you. I know that my fellow commissioners will be very willing to help you all in any way that we can. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
We just need action to approve
Oh,
this.
that's right here. Well, you mean I can't just say thank you?
You can't just say thank you.
All right, so given that there's no questions, I would be looking for a motion to approve the audit plan for fiscal year 23. All right, was that moved by Commissioner Orton? Thank you. And seconded by Commissioner Tu. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, thank you. We'll move that
Okay.
audit plan is approved. Thank you. All right, next is our regular financial update. Believe that the information is in your packets and we have had some information emailed to us. Sean, can you take us through that?
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, I'm pleased to present the January 2023 financials. We start off with January had 40.14 million in sales, above last year by about 1.3 million. Year to date, revenues were 338 million, also higher by about 15 million over last year. After expenses, we plan a net profit transfer about 6.3 million for January, but year to date at 74 million returned to the general fund and the citizens of Utah. That is 22% net profit that will be returned to our sole shareholder. Do I have any questions on the financials?
Great. Thank you, Sean. Commissioner Parrish, I know that you and the operations committee take a look at these financials a little bit more in depth. Was there anything that from your vantage we need to be aware of?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that's covered it. The one thing I would point out, though, is that last month was a pretty difficult month. In addition to regular business, the sky fell in Park City. The roof collapsed, closed the store. They had to be very nimble with that. And then the pop-up store that we had for the NBA All-Star game required a great deal of work, but so the staff did a particularly great job in meeting all those demands and taking care of it. And furthermore, we got some pretty good favorable press out of it. So a tough month was made to look easier.
Thank you, Commissioner, for sharing that perspective. Are there any other questions of the commission? All right, thank you. And thanks for all the work that you and the financial team are doing, Sean. Doug Murakami with our regular Parents Empowered update.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Excuse me. Yesterday at our Parents Empowered Work Group meeting, we heard a presentation from the Cicero Group. The Cicero Group is the data research firm that we use to conduct our parent surveys that we do annually. And although the information is really fresh, I wanted to share just some of the findings that we got from that. And I'll certainly report in more detail in future meetings. So first of all, the report is to really helps us to measure and evaluate our campaign. We look at parents' perceptions and awareness about underage drinking in Utah, excuse me, as well as it helps us to guide, how we make decisions within our campaign strategy. So, yeah, a couple of things I wanted to mention. First of all, our underage drinking messaging recall for TV in particular dropped 20 percentage points, which at first blush, we were a little alarmed at that, but then we realized that it was very heavy political season. And we actually elected to go off air during that time period. It was just such a busy time period. So that makes sense. And then our radio recall remained about the same, while our messaging on the news jumped about 15 percentage points. So we like that. We're happy with the credibility of that third-party news source. The question was a little bit vague, though, in terms of did they see our messaging during the newscast or was it part of the news? So we'll clarify that in some future waves that we do. The other thing is one of our key messaging focuses is to have parents set clear no underage drinking rules. And we also compared this to what the students say per the Sharp report. This gauges the parents, and there was quite a disconnect there. Approximately 90% of the parents say, sure, twice a year we're talking about underage drinking. And then the kids report back that probably only, let's see, about 28% recall their parents talking to them about that. So it's a big disconnect. We're looking at, do we need to spend more time in terms of messaging, making sure that message gets through and whatnot. But we'll look into that a little further. And then one other thing that we noticed too, one of the things we promote are our 5 W's, who are you going with? Where are you going? All those different types of things. And will there be alcohol? Really high percentages of parents know where their child is at, okay, but which is 91%. But some of the other questions on what their child is doing is quite low at 66%. So we're thinking that might be a great opportunity to make sure parents not only know where their kids are, but what they're actually doing. So these are just a few things. There's still a lot to go through. The survey really helps us to stay over the target of evidence-based strategies. So that concludes my report. Thanks so much.
Great. Well, thank you. And I know it's really helpful to hear from you monthly on what the program is up to, and also hearing just about kind of the analysis of evidence and how it kind of informs what you do is helpful. So thanks for sharing those details with us. Are there any questions of the commission for Doug? And we know that we can always reach out to you too. So thank you for always being having an open door. Well, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to hearing the report next month. All right, next we have an operations update from Director Clayson and Deputy Director Meyer.
Great. Cade is going to talk a little bit about the roof collapse that Commissioner Parrish mentioned in Park City, and then I'm going to cover our temporary store and a few customer service projects that are progressing. Cade?
Thank you, Tiffany. Yeah, I mean, as you all are aware, the roof of the Park City licensee warehouse, that's for us known as Store 34, collapsed under the weight of heavy snow. And we have a few photos that we'd like to show you that we will now display on the screen. As you can see, there was heavy roof that compiled on top of the store, and that caused some collapse. Within hours of this roof collapse, though, our team was on site along with the state construction and facilities management employees to assess the damage and come up with a plan. No one was hurt at all. This happened in the evening time, and so this was very helpful for us. And then within days, our team was cleaning up the space and figured out how to safely reopen the store at a limited capacity while the work of repair is being done and is underway currently. In the meantime, other members of our team worked with the Park City area restaurants to tell them how they could get their products and, of course, answer their questions on any of their ongoing orders or where they might fulfill those orders. With that completes my report. Any questions at all? Okay, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Cade. Yeah, the team did an incredible job. And I have to just say, so many, obviously the folks that are employed at that store worked and are still working in really, safe but challenging conditions. And so many people stepped up and came out of their traditional roles with us to fulfill that part of everyone's job, right? Which is, quote, like, other duties as assigned. And we had folks mopping and cleaning and just really appreciative of the team's efforts on that. As was mentioned in relation to the temporary store, just this last weekend, the department opened the first ever temporary store, of course, in response to the major tourist event, the NBA All-Star Games. We appreciate your assistance with approving that temporary store and all of the opportunity and safety issues that we believed it would address, and now being on the other side of it, believe that it did address. So I want to give another big shout out to the team, because just like the response to the Park City Store 34 situation, so many people across multiple divisions and teams worked on planning this store, deploying the store. I even want to say that, Monday was a state holiday, and so everyone had that as a holiday, a day off. I went to the temporary store site that was there at the Salt Palace, and there was a team of 30+ employees working on their holiday off to take that store down, and they did it in about 3 hours or so. And I'm just incredibly appreciative again of everyone making that project happen. A lot of preparation went into there. It was a great opportunity to showcase local distillers, our local brewers, cider and winemakers. Every local product that is listed in one of our retail stores was available in this temporary store. And of course, it was right at about 900 square feet. And again, what our team was able to do in terms of organizing and utilizing that space to its highest and best use was, I think, really remarkable. Our finance team is crunching the numbers. We hope in the next couple of days to have some really good financial analytics on the performance of that store. We have obviously the rough data, but want to just kind of finalize everything in the next few days. And then we'll look forward to sharing that with everyone. I can report, I believe operationally and financially, it was a big success. And again, not only to ensure the safety and convenience of our visitors that were with us this last weekend, but also to help ensure, plan for, provide safety and convenience at our local retail stores, and to best support our hospitality businesses that have had to and did, quite frankly, utilize our services in our retail stores as they were getting last minute orders and doing what it is that they do. Lastly, in terms of customer service projects, last year we began many ambitious projects to improve our customer service and technology systems. 2 of those projects are about to reach major milestones. First, we're preparing to launch an OpenGov platform that licensees can use to do all things that we expect to be able to do these days, like fill out forms, make payments online. We have a few months to go on that project, but we're getting really close to launching that platform. And I'm excited at the progress that this team, really Angela, Jeremy, and their entire team are doing, working with OpenGov to test, to validate, to test again, to validate again, to migrate things, data sets, all of the things. You guys are really on top of it. And I really appreciate all the diligence and care that you're taking so that project can stay on track because we know it's going to be really beneficial, not only to us internally, but externally to those folks that we serve as well. Again, huge kudos to our team, kudos to OpenGov, who is working on that project with us. Lastly, the DABS first ever help desk is about to launch. We are first opening it up to employees sort of as a soft launch. Hopefully we'll refine some things, work some kinks out, and then we'll launch it externally for anyone contacting our department. There's a team ready to answer phones and emails, and we're working on implementing a chat function on the website as well. So this is something that many state agencies in the state of Utah have. This is not anything that we have had to operationalize until now. We're really excited about the customer service it's going to provide, the efficiencies it's going to provide, and really bring us properly into the 21st century in that way. It's also going to help us to fulfill the governor's request that there be a, quote, no wrong door approach in state government, and really helping us answer the questions that are within our jurisdiction or that might come to us sort of sideways, right, from another agency, as we often work with commerce a lot, as public safety a lot, et cetera. So we will be giving you more information when those are ready to launch in a very hard external way, but those are the updates that we have them now.
Great, thanks, Tiffany and Cade. Any questions? Probably just want to underscore your kudos to your team. I know they juggle so many things, and I know that this additional project has just been one thing that they're really dedicated to, and it will have tremendous payoff, but just want to acknowledge that we understand that it takes a lot of additional effort. So thank you. Okay, let's move on to my least favorite part of the agenda, our violations list. Sam, McHenry, our support from counsel from the AG's office. Can you brief us on the consent calendar? So that's 9A items 1 through, I think it's 37.
Morning, Commissioner, Chair. Yes, we have a fairly large consent calendar today, and all items 1 through 38 are complete and ready for agency action. My understanding is you wanted to take maybe 1 through 37 as a block and maybe have some discussion on number 38.
Great, thank you very much. So yes, that is correct. I know that both committees did take a look at this, and then we looked to the compliance committee to make a recommendation on what should be in the block vote, and then if there's any items that need to be handled separately. And it's my understanding that the compliance committee, as evidenced by the agenda, has requested that the violation of LW truck stop in Logan, item number 38, be considered separately. And so I would just say, are there any questions of Sam on the consent calendar items 1 through 37? And if not, I would look to the chair of the compliance committee to make a motion.
No, I believe that lines up with consensus, so I would make a motion that we accept numbers 1 through 37.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have a motion by Commissioner Orton. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Tui. Is there any discussion to the motion? All right, all in favor? Are there any opposed? All right, I'll rule that motion has passed and that the items 1 through 37 are approved. Item number 38 is we'd like to consider separately. Sam, can you fill us in on this one?
Yes, item 38 is LW truck stop. This is a third violation in the last 36 months. This involved a sale to a minor and an untrained server. The employee in this case was a 17-year-old, which is fine on an off premises if they have the education and training, and that was not done here. Again, secure the settlement, 9,000.
I'm not sure if your mic is on.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions around this particular one? Is a representative from LW Truck Stop here?
Yes,
Could you, oh, thank you.
good morning.
Would you please state your name for the record and your affiliation with the
Sure.
premise?
Brent Miller, and I'm the owner.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller, it was brought to our attention that this is your third violation at this location. It seems to the compliance committee, as we talked through this, that there's a bit of a pattern here. Can you tell us more about your previous violations and this violation?
Well, in previous violations, we've always had, an action plan in place to train employees and have, tried our best to do it. Obviously, this one fell through the cracks, this last one. She was trained. She did sign her paperwork, but we could never recover it. We don't know what happened to it, but that's not an excuse. The violation happened. And I hate to blame, COVID for everything, but we were really struggling with employees. That's why we kind of had this 17-year-old working for us to help cover some of our shifts. And it was a mistake on our part. and we don't do that anymore. We have, since this last violation, completely shut our point of sale down from any bypass modes, meaning every sale that requires ID has to, we have to scan it in with our scanner. And only me and 2 other people have a bypass password. So that's the final, I guess, solution that we've come up with. It's really the only way I can keep this, it seems, from happening over and over.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Miller. I agree that it seems like our violations that have happened when it's a sale to a minor could have almost always been avoided through an ID scan. So I appreciate you taking that action, but also the reason that we wanted to specifically address this violation and not necessarily the 37 others is because this is your 3rd violation. We wanted to make it very clear from the commission's perspective that if you come back with a 4th violation, we will have to pull your license.
Yes, I was made aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tui, and thank you, Mr. Miller. Just for the record, because it was a question that was coming up behind the desk here. Mr. Miller had mentioned that it was a 17-year-old that actually made the sale. Again, as Commissioner Tui points out, if there's an ID scan, then the sale shouldn't happen. And we understand that where the breakdown happened here. But Director Clayson, can you just confirm that a 17-year-old in the state can make a sale, but tell us how this works.
Sure. So, Angela's confirmed that the statute says that the sale must be conducted, quote, under the supervision of someone 21 or older who is, quote, on the licensed premise. So a minor or a 17-year-old would be able to conduct that transaction if indeed there was someone 21 or older who was, on the licensed premise and supervising that transaction.
Okay. Thank you for confirming that for us. All right, as Mr. Miller, as Commissioner Tui points out, and I know that the DBS staff have emphasized with you, we can't see another one of these. I'd be looking for a motion on this.
I'll make the motion that we approve the settlement agreement for LW Truck Stop in Logan.
Thank you, Commissioner Tui. Is there a second to that motion? All right, seconded by Commissioner Orton. Is there any more discussion? I will just make the point that the penalty is a $9,000 fine plus a 15-day suspension. I would also like to go on record that it's my preference that we handle these sales to minor quite aggressively, especially on repeat offenses. And so 15 days of suspension, I do believe is fair. As if we keep on seeing these, I would suggest that we as a commission consider being a little bit more aggressive than 15 days. All right, we have a motion on the floor, or a motion before us. All in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? Right, we'll rule that motion passes. Mr. Miller, we don't want to see you again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put
agree.
it that way, Mr. Miller. I'd love to see you
Thank you for
sometime
being here.
when I come in to buy some candy bar or something like that. But in effect, you have become a little bit of a poster child here today for everybody. Everybody can see your picture and what's happened. But I think we've been taking a hard look at some of these, and for all of the operators, you'll note that one of the problems is we have a lot of sales to minors. And that just seems like something that is so easy to avoid. And we don't know, of course, whether people just say, well, I'm going to take my chances. It's like, when you get in your car and you kind of run a stop sign and you hope the highway patrol isn't there when you do it. But this here, as I have said to several of my commissioners, my biggest concern on a sale to minor is they leave your store and they go down the street, they drop the tailgate, they drink. And then in addition to being impaired, they're under 25 years of age and their judgment's not fully developed. And as Doug would point out to you, that, raises a serious public safety concern. So this is not just a mere gotcha, I think. I think we're looking at the underlying problem and that's what we've discussed in our committee meetings, is this underlying problem of what happens when you do sell to a minor. So I know you're the poster child today, and I hope that, as they say, that you will now lead the way to show people how to do it correctly.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
All right. So actually, that was a good segue into our next agenda item, which is the licensee recognition. Director Clayson.
Great. As you know, we've been doing this for a few months now. I am so excited. I know there were quite a few violations that you all just dealt with. We have 79, so almost 80 licensees that we're recognizing as in this report out here. Of course, they're listed and displayed here for everyone to see. Out of those almost 80 licensees, like usual, I mean, everything from bowling alleys to VFW and moose clubs. We've got bars, lounges, et cetera, off-prems, and they're from really all over the state. We've got Layton and Farmington, West Valley City, Nephi, even Lisa's Country Kitchen, out of Nephi, Tooele. And so again, you all have a copy of this in your packet. I would just encourage you to look through it a little further right now, or a little bit later. And of course, we're really appreciative of all of the folks that are working really hard to uphold, obviously, the law, but more importantly, right, to help ensure public safety by operating in a way that's safe, that's responsible, in addition to being great for economic development for business in their communities.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. And also thank you to all of our licensees who emphasize public safety and then pass these checks. Are there any questions of the commission on this item or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and we will move on. Compliance direct, yes. Oh, great. Yeah, yes, please. Yeah, please. That's okay. No, it's okay. Thank you very much. So we should mention we are taking public comment actually with action items, but we'll go ahead and this is not an action item, but we'll go ahead and allow public comment if it's been registered already, which it sounds like you've registered. So please state your name. Please state your name for the record.
I sure appreciate it, Commissioner. This is a bit unusual. My name is Tanner Strickland Leonard. On the point of sales to minors, there is a March 7th and 8th event that's happening here in this building. It's free. It's for all licensees. I know a lot of the compliance specialists are going to be speaking at it, SBI officers. I'm going to be speaking at it as well. And the whole thing is about, it's easy, eliminating alcohol sales to youth. And so I would encourage every licensee to sign up. I'll be putting it on my social media and hopefully DABS will as well, because I think it's going to be a really good full day event to help with this specific issue that we keep seeing. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention and bringing it to the attention of our licensees. And we appreciate the efforts. And as Tanner mentions, it is easy, but we just need some additional training, it sounds like. So thank you for all of those that are providing that. Is there any other public comment on this issue? Okay. All right. Moving over, Director of Compliance, Angela Miklos, we have license renewals.
Morning, Commissioners. The current renewal cycle involves the following license types: on-premise beer recreational amenity, on-premise beer only restaurants, on-premise tavern, and off-premise beer retailer licenses. Of the 1,869 licenses at issue, all but 27 have renewed. The remaining 1,842 are ready for your approval.
Thank you, Angela. Are there any questions of the commission on this item? Looking for a motion if not. All right, moved to approve by Commissioner Orton.
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Tui. Any discussion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? All right, those renewals are approved. Thank you. All right. Rob, you've got a list of extended closure requests to present to us.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, we have quite a few to go over. So let's take the first five. So we have Stone Hearth Grill, Bird Trail Grill, Duke's Slick Rock Grill, La Cueva Restaurante, and Chalk Bala Mexican. These are all in central southern Utah. They are requesting an extended closure to the March commission meeting. This is all based on slow tourist season, seasonal lack of supplies, lack of employees. So it's the same we've seen the past few months. But these five are commissioned to the March commission meeting. And I don't know if you want to just go through these, or the next one is a big discussion item. And then we have some more of the Southern Utah ones.
Why don't we go through, so there's one bar on this list. Why don't we go through all the other licensee types and take them? Assuming the discussion goes, I think it will take them all in one, and then we'll come back to that bar. So let's skip over F and go to G.
All right, so G, we have the Lodge at Bryce, Hell's Backbone Grill, Boulder Mountain Guest Ranch, and Anasazi. And these are all the Southern Utah, Central Utah, and they're requesting until the April commission meeting. The last one on there is Grappa, and Grappa is the one that had the kitchen fire. And they are requesting to the April commission meeting also. So you'll remember that the fire, it was back in September. They'd come before, and they're still just having construction issues. But they think that they'll be ready to open for by April commission meeting.
Thank you, Rob. I guess not a particular question, but just pointing out that we are starting to get quite scarce on full service restaurant licenses. And so I just think we should keep an eye on these closures, and as they relate to kind of seasonal issues, we might, depending on what happens with that scarcity of restaurant licenses, we might have to pay a little bit closer attention to the dynamics of these closures. Are there any questions or comments?
I'm ready to make a motion if.
Okay, go for it, please.
I'd make a motion that we approve items A through E for extended closure until the March meeting, and items G through K through the April meeting.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Tui. Is there a second?
Second.
Right, seconded by Commissioner Orton. Any discussion to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Right. Those closures, as Commissioner Tui has identified, are approved. Rob, let's talk about item 12F, Real Bar and Grill, Sandy. I'm assuming Real.
Yes, that's correct. So this used to be the About Time up in Park City that had lost their lease. They did a change of location back at the December commission meeting, and they moved from Park City to Sandy. Their intent was to open there at the Real complex, but they've had a bunch of problems. Tally Bruce is here, and she would like to address the commission on what her plans are going forward.
We appreciate that. Ms. Bruce, please come to the microphone. And I will say that the issue that I alluded to with the restaurant licenses, potential upcoming issue with the restaurant licenses is very real and in play with bar licenses. And so when we see a request for extended closure for bar licenses, it's a trade-off between other licensees that are ready to operate. So Ms. Bruce, please go ahead and state your name and your affiliation. Oh, yes.
Could I just clarify with Rob? It's my understanding that this is a special club license that is not going to count. Like if she loses this license, it doesn't go into the pool for bars. It just disappears, correct?
Correct. This used to be known as a dining club bar.
Right.
And so if this license is lost, it does not go back into the pool. It cannot be used by anybody else.
Commissioner Orton, that's a very helpful clarification of the point that I was making. And I just was going off of the just bar on my agenda. So thank you both for making that point. And Ms. Bruce, please go ahead and state your name and your affiliation for the record.
Hi, Commissioners. I'm Tally Bruce. Thank you for that clarification. Yes, this license would just evaporate, and no one wants to get it into action more than me, rest assured. So Soccer Real, the local team, very excited about getting a bar up and running. The goal was for this March soccer season. but they've been purchased by an East Coast group that also owns Philadelphia Eagles, who made it to the Super Bowl. And communications just kind of ceased with the East Coast group when they got all excited about that. And my getting open didn't seem to be a priority. So I am aggressively working with their team to get that bar license into action. And simultaneously, I'm looking at options B, C, and D to make sure that something workable comes together. But I could use another 30 days or 30 to 60 would be great. But for sure, I will get this running because I understand. And I'm glad that we clarified right up front that it doesn't go back to the pool, because I could imagine all the eyes hating on me as they're all anxious to get licenses. So thank you for that clarification.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Bruce. Any questions?
Yes, can I understand communication with maybe the team's ownership has been not what you would like, but why is that holding you back from opening? What else do you need to do to get open, and is the March meeting realistic?
Yeah, they wanted to do improvements to the building. The building is actually a little bit north of the stadium, and it used to be the Ardell Brown RV Sales Center. Great location. Sandy City's super excited about bringing the business there. They have big purse strings, and they wanted to do the investments on the building, which is great by me as the leasing. So those communications just kind of slowed down, and the changes haven't been made that they wanted to do.
So if the thinking is that there will be construction going on in the building, then March really isn't realistic. Is that
Yeah, for an
fair?
opening date, I could come back with a really detailed plan of when the opening date, 30 days might be a stretch. Would 60 be doable?
Would it be helpful if, when we're considering a motion to, extend the closure here, that we have you come back with a plan in hand in April
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
and a definite
Yeah,
opening date?
For sure. Yes,
So you could commit to that if we push this out until
Yeah.
April?
definitely.
Okay,
I'm motivated.
unless there are other questions, I'd just make the motion that we approve the extended closure for Real Bar and Grill in Sandy until the April meeting.
Great. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Tui. Is there a second to that motion? All right. Was that seconded by Commissioner Parrish? Or I'm sorry, Commissioner Jacobson? Any discussion to the motion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. That closure is granted through April. Thank you, Ms. Bruce. All right. Rob, we have one change of location request. Can you fill us in on that, please?
Yes, so this is Señorita's Cantina. You might remember this used to be Shaka Island. It's a bar license. They had a closure back in October that was granted by staff. And then in December, they came before the commission for a change of location, which was there in Springville. They were supposed to open here by the February commission meeting. Some things have fallen through there. I know Jeremy wanted to address this, but they are planning on moving from the 533 South, 1750 West in Springville to 135 North, 2000 West in Springville. And they are here also to address.
Thank you, Rob. Does the commission have any questions of Rob or the app or the licensee? Oh, Jeremy, you'd like to speak to this? Commissioner Tui is telling me. Potentially, we think.
I'd just like to say, I think it would be helpful for someone, either Rob or Jeremy, to go through the timeline so that we have a full understanding of what's been going on.
I'll leave it to Rob. Do you have it?
Yes, I have the timeline. You want the whole thing?
The general gist.
Okay, so it was in October that they were granted the 60-day closure. They came before the commission at the December commission meeting to do the change of location. The reasons why they aren't able to open, there were some problems with an elevator, some improvements and stuff at Señoritas, where they were never able to open. They did find this new location. We went out to the new location and we weren't able to get in yet because their lease doesn't actually start until March 1st. And so we had a little bit of concern on that. But it is a bar license that has not been used for quite a while. And this is the second change of location in that time period. So we do want to make sure that they do open. They had planned to open by March 15th, and we do want to make sure that they do open in that time.
Thank you for providing that detail for the record. Just to be clear, is there an additional closure that's necessary as well, or is that something that the staff is able to grant? Or is there still under the?
Yeah, with the change of location, they get 30 days. They can request another 30 days.
All right.
But staff wants the commission to decide if we go past 30 days. They do plan on changing their name again too, once they move, and their new place will be called Last Call. So there will be another name change going forward.
Thank you for going through that. I just want to, again, as I look at kind of the details on the face of this, it's, change of location. They initially were looking to site in Springville, looking to, because of some of the circumstances described, site in another place in Springville. So I'm not terribly concerned about that particularly. I am concerned though about trying to circumvent processes around license transfers. And so we want to I personally would like to make sure that they open in this location if we approve this change of location request.
And Chairwoman, I think it would be really helpful if we could hear from them, because I have concerns about the condition of the property they are currently hoping to move to. Because it seems that it might not be ready for move-in.
Yes, thank you. Could we have the representative come to the podium? Welcome. Please state your name for the record and your affiliation.
Ronnie Kanoa. This is Dana
Dana
Kanoa.
Kanoa.
Yeah, so
Is it green light on that?
Yeah.
Great. And owners of the,
yes, he
of
is
the
the owner.
business?
So, also, yes, we guys wanted to know about what was the situation with the Senoritas building. So we had contacted the landlord there, and they wouldn't give us an exact date. And we had told them that we can't hang on to our license for so long. We gotta make sure our license stays active. And there was no communication, and we were just waiting, and we were waiting for I don't know how many days. Sometimes they wouldn't respond back to us. And of course, it was public safety because we're on the 3rd level. And how to get to the place was through an elevator, and there was an outside stairway. So for us, we want to make sure that public safety is number one for our customers to come in and out. So the elevators wasn't being fixed yet. And so we ended up going forward just to find another place because we just didn't have that communication with them. And this next place, we are 100% sure that we will be open at least by March 17th. We will have that. The building is ready to go. I just contacted Jeremy this morning. I told him that we can have a premise check on the inside, that everything will be good to go. So we'll have the green light and we'll be moved in. We'll take over the lease on March 1st.
Are there any questions of the commission?
I'm just a little confused about how that happens so quickly. How are you planning to get everything? Because it's my understanding that there is still substantial product and
There's
belongings of the current
Right.
owners.
Okay.
And
They're-
how are you going to get all of the necessary things to open up ready by March 17th?
So we have different phases of, we're not gonna open up the whole building yet. So the first phase on one side will be open. We already have an additional bar there that's already ready to go. We have everything like the storage room, and our floor plan is already worked out. As far as what you guys would need for the DABS, for the Berg system, everything is ready, pretty much ready to go to be put in. It won't take that long to set up those station areas for us in the building. And then the people that are in there right now, they're in the middle of moving their stuff out already. So half of their stuff is pretty much already going out. So it's a pretty smooth process for them.
Yes, Commissioner.
What's in that building right now?
What they have is tires,
So they have tires and
and just like art, yard art stuff, statues, and most of it is outside of the building
so all
right
the,
now.
all the plumbing then is attached to the walls
Yep, everything is good.
and all the electricals attached to the walls.
Yes.
Okay. Rob, you've not been in this, right?
We were not able to get in. I also want to point out this would be conditional as we do need to do a final inspection. We need the business license and insurance, so.
I guess I'm trying to picture this and I see some of your, fellow business colleagues out here who have spent months trying to get places ready. And I'm trying to picture how you're going to have a bar and get plumbing put to the bar and have all the electrical and these other things done. How are you going to get that done in 17 days? Have you got contractors actually committed
Yes,
and you have a
yes.
contract with them?
Yes. We have everything
Have-
already.
Have you given those contracts to our staff to demonstrate that you do have commitments that these contractors will begin working on March 1st?
No, we don't. We didn't give them the information yet, but we can give them that information.
And on these contracts, do they have completion dates on them?
I believe they might, I'll have to look at the contract again.
Okay, now the reason I'm asking you these questions is it sounds to us, based on our experience, that you're moving at warp speed, which in the contract world doesn't exist.
Right.
To have plumbing and electrical and have a contractor who's actually committed to having you up and running. It doesn't jibe with our experience. And that's why I think we'd like to at least see the backup documents you have that will demonstrate that in fact you can be open by March 17th and that this is not just some hopeful date that you're giving to us to come back next month and then tell us, well, this happened, that happened.
Right.
Because to be honest with you, that's worse than standing up here and saying, I need another month, I need 2 months or
Right.
whatever. Okay.
Okay. I understand that. Okay.
A question for the department, just understanding kind of our options here. So Rob, thank you for clarifying that if this change of location request is approved, then it comes with a 30-day, like 30 days to operate. Is that right?
Correct. There's
Okay.
30 days. They can request another 30 days that staff can grant.
Can we direct staff to not grant that?
You can
Does it-
definitely tell us not to.
I just wonder if that, I mean, again, just putting it out there for the commission's consideration. I hopefully you understand, we're facing, we have one license today and we have to award, and we have a number of operators that are ready to go today, could put that license into use.
Right.
And so it's difficult that this license has been out of use,
Right.
and there's this risk of it will continue to be out of use when there are operators that are ready to go. And
Right.
it's just the situation that we are in right now. So this is why we're taking a close look at this. Potentially a middle ground for the commission to consider would be to grant the change of location request, again, potentially just to consider grant the change of location request, but direct staff that they are not to extend a 30-day closure, an additional 30-day. And that is possible, just to confirm with Rob, that is, it's within our scope to do that.
Yes, you can do that. So they would happen until the March commission meeting.
Okay.
Chair,
Yeah, go ahead,
Chair
Director.
Tenner, I just wanted to give Angela, and Rob is very knowledgeable about these things. He's been with us for a long time, but just for the sake of the public record, also give Angela and Sam an opportunity to weigh in if they have any other opinion or idea about that.
Thank you.
Certainly. So the change of location statute does require that they become operational within 30 days of the date you grant the change. So that the extra days to carry to the next commission meeting doesn't apply to that specific situation. It does apply if our staff were to grant an additional 30 days, then that clause would take them to the following commission meeting, if that makes sense. So literally they will have 30 days from today. If you expressly tell staff not to grant any additional time.
Then the license would just be forfeit then if,
Yes.
unless we had a special commission meeting.
So it would be forfeited on like March.
23rd.
Well, February only has 28 days, so it would be.
We'd have to count it out.
Okay.
I can do that.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, you don't have a business license? Yes, you do. Okay. And all the inspections, but the inspections are all passed and all that. Okay.
But you're not worried because you're gonna get open.
Exactly.
You're good.
Exactly. You know, honestly, we never wanted to move. We were kind of forced out just because we took over and the land sold like right away. We were only in business for a month and a half and it wasn't like a choice of ours to say, hey, we're gonna go and look at a better place. It was just something that, and we had a difficult time looking for a place. And we live in Springville, having to come out. And so we were like trying to see up in Salt Lake City. And it's just something that we've both really would want to succeed in it. I mean, him being Hawaiian, I'm being Navajo, you know, having that option, that opportunity to have something of ours, especially something great in Utah, you know, and having this business as well, you know, having to make sure that everything that we really would love to be successful in it too. So we're not worried. We're gonna definitely be open. So
Well, we appreciate you coming here and we are, as the chair said, just in a situation where we have to consider the best use of the license. And so we want you to succeed and we want you to be in Springville and succeed in Springville. And so I will go ahead and make the motion then that we approve the change of location request for Señorita's Cantina and also direct staff to not go beyond the 30 days for an extended closure.
that sounds good.
And again, not go beyond the 30 days that is associated with the change of location request. Great. Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second to that motion? All right, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any discussion? I think the Commissioner Orton.
Yeah, I was just gonna second, but I also want to make sure I understand. So this license has not been in use since October.
That's correct.
Okay.
It was till the end of October. We ended up, because we had to give them a 15-day notice before we ended up moving. So yeah, it was pretty much the end of October. And then just finding a place was the situation. Yeah.
And so you understand if this motion passes, it needs to be put into use within 30 days and staff
This
will
coming month,
validate.
yes.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Are there any opposed? Right, the motion passes. Thank you. Yeah, we're excited for you to open. Okay, moving on to license applications. Stephanie, you are sharing several off-premise beer retailer applications with us.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. We have 5 change of ownerships this month. The first applicant, 7-Eleven store in Salt Lake City, is conditional due to business license. Applicant number 2, 7-Eleven store in Brigham City, is complete. Applicant number 3, 7-Eleven store in Ogden, is complete. Applicant number 4, gas stop in Hurricane, is complete. Applicant number 5, Ogden Beer Company in Ogden, is conditional, and all the above meet statutory requirements. The applicants meet statutory requirements.
All right, thank you. Yeah, let's go ahead and handle this in one block and then we'll move on to the new applicants. Are there any questions on these changes of ownership? Great. Be looking for a motion. All right, is that moved by Commissioner Parrish? Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Orton. Any discussion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? Great, thank you. We'll move that those change of ownerships are approved. New applicants.
We have 7 new applicants this month. The first applicant is MJ Country Store in Cedar City. That application is complete. Applicant number 2, Red Canyon Lodge in Dutch John, is complete. Applicant 3, Maverick number 680 in St. George, is complete. Applicant number 4, Digby's Market in St. George, is conditional. Applicant number 5, Salt Lake Brewing Company in Salt Lake City, is conditional. Applicant number 6, 379 South Corner Store, Salt Lake City is complete. Applicant number 7, House of Green in Murray is conditional, and all applicants meet statutory requirements.
Great, thank you, Stephanie. Are there any questions on these?
Move that we accept.
Great, there is a motion for approval by Commissioner Orton. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Tui. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Great, those are approved. Thank you, Stephanie. Jeff, we have one special use educational permit to consider.
Good morning, Commissioners. The applicant is Simplicity Cocktails, and they will be doing an educational permit for product and pairing. And the facility is open under a manufacturing with the package agency, and the application is complete and meets statutory requirements.
Great, thank you, Jeff. Any questions on this one?
I move that we approve.
All right, move for approval by Commissioner Orton. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Terrazon. Any discussion to the motion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? All right, it's approved. All right, Jeff, why don't we actually take all of these together, the change of ownership and the new applications for the manufacturer brewery applicants?
Yes, we have Salt Lake Brewing is the change of ownership in Salt Lake City. We have Level Crossing in Salt Lake City and Apex Brewing in Salt Lake City. Applications are complete and meet statutory requirements.
Thank you. Any questions on these? All right, Commissioner Orton moves approval of the change of ownership and new applications. Is there a second? All right, was it seconded? Seconded by Commissioner Terrazon. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, those are approved. Next, we have 3 package agencies to consider, all type 5.
Yes, they are all type 5. One, Level Crossing and Salt Lake Brewing are for our brewery. And number 3, Slide Ridge is a winery. All are associated with manufacturing facilities. Applications meet statutory requirements.
Thank you, Jeff. I note that we have Level Crossing Brewery Company also on our bar application list. Are they the same location?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions?
I move that we approve.
Commissioner Orton moves approval. Second, is there a second? All right, seconded by Commissioner Parrish. All in favor? Oh, sorry, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, these are approved. Thank you. All right, Jeff, let's actually go ahead and handle all of these beer recreational amenity applicants, the change of ownership and the new applications together. Can you fill us in?
Yeah, so the first one, change of ownership, is Gravel Pit Lanes. Under new applicants, we have Cedar Ridge Golf Course in Cedar City. That one is conditional. Logan Golf and Country Club in Logan, that one is conditional with final. That's due to change in floor plan for other licenses at the location. We have Ben Lomond Lanes, which is bowling. That one is conditional. We have Fat Cats in Riverton. That is a bowling facility, conditional. Number 5, Dixie Red Hills Golf Course. That one is complete. And number 6 is Devo Golf in Tremont, and that one is conditional. Applications are complete, meet statutory requirements.
Thank you. Any questions on these?
I move that we approve.
All right, Commissioner Orton moves that we approve the change of ownership and the new applications. Is there a second? All right, seconded by Commissioner Terrazon. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, those are approved. Okay, moving on to full service restaurant applications. Corey is going to share those with us. And Corey, can you remind us of the number of licenses that we have available in addition to briefing us on the applications?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. There are 18 full service and 3 summer seasonal licenses available this month. The next increase is March and then each month through July 2023. So the first 3 are changes of ownership: Legends Pub and Grill in downtown, Somi Vietnamese Bistro, and Zion Canyon Brew Pub in Springdale. all three are complete and meet statutory requirements.
Thank you, Corey. So 18 full-service restaurant licenses, just looking at this list, it could take up half of what we have available.
We had a fairly robust.
Yeah, so that's what, so yeah,
conversation.
so go ahead, let's turn some time over to you, Commissioner Orton. We, as commissioners, we definitely dig into the details of all of the agenda items. However, we need to pay special attention to the full restaurant licenses and the bar licenses, given the scarcity of those licenses. And so I would like to hear about the discussion in Compliance Commission, and if there's any recommendations, or committee, and if there are any recommendations coming out of that committee for us. So Commissioner Orton.
Well, the very short of it is that we agreed that we would recommend the first three, the license change of ownership. And the next two who are ready to operate, that's Kathmandu and Guru's Sports Bar and Grill. And then skip down to number 8 on the new applicants, and Red Canyon Lodge, Dutch John. Corey, would you like to talk about really briefly what sets Red Canyon apart from the other applicants?
I was working with the applicants, so if you don't mind.
Fine.
So Red Canyon Lodge in Dutch John currently has a restaurant license, but the old owners haven't been there for months. So that's why we didn't do a change of ownership. So this one wouldn't take out of the pool. And we have a date of April 1st. That's when they have reservations at their lodge. And we were going to try to move them to March 30th, but they wouldn't have time to put an alcohol order in for their residents and their people, their guests for April 1st. So
Right.
that's, yeah. And they have an off premise too, which was approved. So I didn't mean to grab the mic, but I'd been working with the applicant.
So we went through the projected future openings other than Red Canyon. And we were unsure as to whether they were really going to be able to meet these deadlines. And I did note that we received pictures from Horizon View Restaurant and Auto Camp.
Yes, that's correct. And I do have updated information if you want me to go through these, and then it'll give you
That would be
more.
great.
Okay, so we can start with, do you want to talk about Kathmandu and Guru's? Because they are ready to operate.
I don't think we have to. I think the questions
Okay.
were 1 through, is it 5 or 1 through? Yeah, it was
Sure.
1 through 5. Yeah.
Yes.
Because they were saying that they were going to be open in March, but our information as of last week didn't support that.
So starting with Horizon View Restaurant in Moab, they do have an updated projected opening date for March 15th. That was another one that updated new photos and provided a RAS indicating what their patio control measures would be. Auto Camp and Zion Restaurant in Virgin, its updated projected opening is the week of March 27th. And they also submitted updated photos. Ulam at Under Canvas in Moab, updated projecting opening date is March 30th. Biscuits and Hogs in Ogden, projected opening is March 17th. Stack 571 Burger and Whiskey Bar in South Jordan, updated projected opening is March 30th. Level Crossing Brewing in Salt Lake City, projected opening is April 15th, and it's a backup application for the bar. Rooted Cafe in Riverton is projected opening is April 27th.
Thank you. And to that end, we've been sounding the alarms for several months, and our recommendation is that we now, as of this month, start holding restaurants to the same level of scrutiny that we hold bars to. And to that end, we would then, I think we would, let's just say the subcommittee determined that we only wanted to recommend the ones that I previously noted. The 3 license change of ownerships, the 2 that are ready to operate, and Red Canyon Lodge. There aren't any others who are ready to open. I don't know if other commissioners have any thoughts as to how they would like to proceed.
May I say one more thing, commissioners?
Yes.
The changes of ownership don't affect the licenses. Oh, okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Tui?
Yeah, considering that almost most of these dates are before our next commission meeting, I maybe would like to hear from these applicants because most of the pictures that were submitted don't look like they're ready. So maybe if the chair would entertain that, we could hear from 1 through 5.
Yes, I would like to do that. Yes, go ahead.
I
Commissioner.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I do think that when I look through some of the pictures, that some of them are looking more ready than others. And those dates for some of them, though, are later. I'm wondering if that's just because they felt that they had the time to extend that date out to open. So that would be very helpful as well.
Yeah.
And do we have all of the most updated photos? Are there newer ones that we haven't?
I submitted the most current that I asked for this week.
I would say Auto Camp, Biscuit, and Stack 571 to me looked like the most ready to open. The other ones, Horizon and Ulam, still have framing and quite a bit, it seems like, to go, from my opinion.
Right. Let's go ahead and hear from those on the list that are projected future openings, items 1 through 5, Horizon View, Auto Camp, Zion, Ulam, Biscuit and Hogs, and Stack 571. Is a representative from Horizon View Restaurant Moab available? Great, thank you. Please state your name and your affiliation with the
Yeah, my
application.
name is Adam Fine. I'm counsel to Horizon View Restaurant, and the owner is also on Zoom if needed. Yeah, the restaurant space, we do think that March 15th, which was our revised opening date, is realistic. The space was already operating as a restaurant under other ownership previously. They are doing some renovations to the space, but it's proceeding rapidly. So we do think that with a couple more weeks, it'll be ready to open and operate as a full restaurant.
Any questions of the commission? I apologize. I'm trying to navigate to Commissioner Jacobson. As I try to navigate to the pictures. Thank you.
Well, looking at the pictures, these pictures, I assume that we have, these are exactly the way the place looks today. Is that right?
As of a few days ago, yes, yeah.
You don't have any updated pictures that show any changes, any more improvements done?
Those are the most recent photos that I have. If Rick Thompson, who's on Zoom, has more recent information, then he can chime in.
Yeah, I'm looking for pictures. I'm not looking for, oh yeah, we're ready to go. I mean, we know you're ready to go, okay? But I'm just looking to see exactly what needs to be done as of today. That's all.
Yeah, as I said, the space was operating as a restaurant previously. So as far as, plumbing, water, sinks, food preparation areas, all of that is ready to go. They are rearranging some things within the space, but they do think that it should be finished by March 15th.
All right. Are there any other questions of the commission?
Do you have all of, I see in the photos that there aren't countertops, like, do you have those in hand or are they being delivered? We just want to make sure that as far as the delivery delays.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, it looks like
chime
we
in?
have Rick and his son Terrence on the phone.
Yeah, so the majority of all the materials are on site.
Sir, will you please restate your name for the record?
Yeah, this is Terrence Thompson. I'm actually the owner of the building.
Thank you.
I'm Rick Thompson, the owner of the restaurant.
Thank you.
And so I'm doing, Terrence, I'm doing a lot of the remodel responsibilities with my general contractor. And so like you see the pictures that you have, all, like Adam was saying, all the plumbing, everything is inside the walls, all the framing is done, and the walls are actually closed up with drywall. And they're now mudded and everything. All the materials that go, we have like wood that goes on a lot of the walling as like a fascia. All of the is all on site. All of the countertops, everything is all ready to just be
All the
set.
equipment.
Yeah, and then like Adam was saying, it was running as the previous tenants were running a El Churro Mexican restaurant. So, the kitchen area, all those places, didn't necessarily get changes. And so it's very close, and we were shooting for March 1st, and we'll probably be closer to the 5th or something, but we wanted to say the 15th and be sure that was capable. And like say, I do have the general contractor, like a personal general contractor, so that we have a lot of means to make sure we get it done.
Thank you. I know I don't know, maybe you did expect to come to an alcohol commission meeting and go into detail about your construction schedule and your countertop orders and those sorts of things. I know that I wouldn't, and so just want you to understand this is not, at least for me, and I think many of my colleagues share the sentiment, a position that we want to be in quizzing you about the timing of these things. But given that we only have 18 licenses, it's just, we have to be really careful about granting them. So thank you for providing the information. And like I said, I think I wish that this commission could really, and we are, but dig into your ability to operate in a safe manner. Public safety issues, are you complying with alcohol laws? And I think that as we've reviewed these things, we see that the applications that we have before us do comply, and we can operate in a safe manner, but because of the scarcity of licenses, we're asking you about countertops. So thank you for helping us, because it's where we need to be. Are there any other questions? And what I'm saying is the same for the line of questioning that we're going to go through with the other applicants. Are there any other questions for this specific applicant?
Maybe just a point of clarification, and sorry to keep going through this again and again.
No problem.
The pictures that we're seeing, there's some framing, but then later on the pictures show that the counter area in the bar space is relatively complete. The majority of items, I think, is what they were saying are there. What does that mean? What is missing when they're saying the majority of materials are there?
That's a question that the proprietors can answer better than I can.
And maybe I can clarify too, when they say the majority is there, would they be able to function and operate if for some reason that item didn't show up? So maybe it's a table that doesn't show up, they would still be able to function and operate.
No, anything that's missing is just miscellaneous finishes for the walls and just stuff like that. Everything that we need for the restaurant and for you folks is on site and ready to go. Just hasn't been all totally installed.
He was saying that everything that is actually necessary for the operation of the restaurant as a restaurant is on site and ready to be installed.
Correct.
Correct. And the framing that you see in the one picture is exposed for the beer line person to put the glycogen lines and stuff in right at that point. And so everything's there. It's just getting the installers coordinated to get it done at that time frame. But like I say, everybody knows exactly what's going on and they're committed to before the 15th. So I think we're safe.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other questions, thank you, gentlemen. Let's invite any representatives from Auto Camp Zion Restaurant to the, thank you very much. Welcome. Please state your name and affiliation for the record.
Barth, just trying to help out Auto Camp Zion. Yeah, we're basically ready to go. The interiors are done. And I think have been inspected by staff. It's the exterior that we're waiting on the snow to melt a little bit before we finish. They'd like the license this month because, as you know, to be able to place orders, do the training of the staff at a time before we actually open. They're scheduled to open the 27th for the friends and family training issues to resolve all those things and then be open to the general public. And my understanding is they're starting to take reservations already hitting that deadline. So that's my little report. If you've got questions.
Great. Thank you. Are there questions of the commission? I'm just going to underline the point you made about ordering and training staff. We've gotten ourselves into this position we have with bars and we're here with restaurants where having the certainty of a license helps with that and it's more efficient for the business owner. But if we're not able to grant this today, that takes that certainty away. And then this business again has to manage through that and deal with that uncertainty. And it does impact operations and bottom line revenues. So I'm just underlying what you brought up. So thank you for bringing that up.
And we can't order without the license. We can't even operate. We can't project order or anything else. And just let me say ditto for the same stuff on the banquet catering application too. So.
All right, if there's no other questions, we'll excuse you. Thank you very much. All right.
It seems to me that, part of the problem we have here is we have 5 weeks to another commission meeting. Okay, that's one major problem. And that happens several times during the year. The problem we're up against, I think, is we fully understand Mr. Barth is absolutely correct. You sit in limbo. But what are we going to do if March 30th comes along and they haven't opened and we've given up a license? And I think that's the dilemma that we're in. Things can happen and there's, I guess the question really is what has to be done to this facility? Mr. Barth mentioned that they're having snow issues. I'm very empathetic with it as Mr. Barth is well aware of Park City, Utah. Those of us who've had snow issues this winter understand that. The question really is, besides the snow issue, what other pieces of construction or materials need to be done and are not on site and don't have contracted completion dates?
We've got contractors on site. The exterior stuff has nothing to do with being able to operate the restaurant. The interiors are all done, all ready to go. It's facade stuff on the exterior. We've got construction companies there. It'll be done in time, certainly for the pre and the training and the rest of it. Shouldn't really have anything to do with being able to operate the restaurant inside other than the usual. So the interior is ready to go.
Are they requiring down there that you do your outside, you said sod, are you talking about landscaping?
Facade.
Okay, facade.
Facade.
Okay. Is that going to be, something that will be a condition of getting an occupancy permit?
I hope not, but I think they would talk to the city about that. And I don't know specifically, but they're ready to go on the restaurant. And with the snow melt and everything else, they should be ready to go. And tying up a license, I understand, it's not a construction interior, being able to operate the license is an issue. That's not it. It's just the outside of the building, basically. So they're ready to go.
So everything in the inside's ready to go.
Ready to go.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Terrazon.
And then I was just curious why such a big jump when the projected date was March 1st and now we're looking, and now we're looking at March 27th.
That March 1st was on the application. We've had the application in for some time. And so that's way outdated. So that's why we've got, the pictures I haven't even seen the pictures. They're so new. I think they're ready to go.
It looks pretty close. A question for the department, just to make sure I understand and I've asked this before, and thanks, Mr. Barth. If we grant, it's the same thing. So if we grant this license, how long does the restaurant have to start operating once the license has been granted? Is it 30 days? Is it, I know in the case of bars, it's a number of months.
There's nothing expressly in statute for a new license. One would think that similar to a change of location, it would be 30 days, but the statutes are silent in that regard.
So if the statute is silent, do we as a commission have authority over taking the license back if it's not operational by the time?
I should qualify. If this was conditional, then they would have 18 months. But if it's not conditional, then the statute's not clear.
Okay, thank you. So conditional is 18 months. So so it just to make why, again, given that we have 18 licenses, you know, it's, if it's granted and then something happens, it's 18 months until, you know, that could potentially be put into operation, which is why the commission is going down this line of questioning.
And I guess I have another question too. If they're opening the 27th, is the 30th that far off to get the license?
Mr. Barth, go ahead and, yeah.
We need longer than that to place the orders, get the alcohol inside, do the trainings that we need and everything else to actually pre-open. We need more time than 3 days, especially when it's, you know, we're hoping to do it before the next meeting.
Please understand this is not optimal. Like the fact that we're asking you about this is not optimal. I wish we weren't.
Trust me, I've been working on the
Thank
issue.
you. Thank you.
And also getting licenses down to Southern Utah is a very near and dear issue on our commission. So we aren't skipping over the fact that we have several licenses that are headed in that direction at some point. Our concern is if we offer it today, how long does it really take for you to get operational? And that's the concern.
All right.
Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Jeremy.
So I'm reading from the premise and proximity inspection. And this particular location does require a final. There was no dispensing. There's no dispensing. The storage wasn't ready to go, the lockable storage, et cetera, and so on. So it may be, this was last week. It may be that it's been resolved, but we still have to go do a final inspection of the premise and proximity.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. And that is why it would be, it's conditional. And those are the specific things, or some of the specific things. Thank you. Okay. May we speak with a representative from, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing, but Ulam at Under Canvas.
Yes,
I saw this
hello.
from the, okay, I saw this from the road driving down to Moab last weekend.
Great.
Andy,
Yes.
looks like you're here. Please go ahead and state your full name and your affiliation for the record.
Yes, my full name is Andrew Chafe, and I am the general manager for the property.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, questions for the general manager?
I'll start. Looking at the pictures, it's hard to tell what I'm looking at because it appears there's one larger building with the exterior glass looking like it's done, but then there's additionally a exposed wood building and a lot of dirt and cranes in the other pictures. Can you tell us a little bit about your facility and where the actual restaurant would be located?
Yes, I can. So the building that you initially mentioned, that is going to be the restaurant space, and the kitchen is completed. This the space that you see with the cranes and the dirt being moved around, that is actually going to be a bathroom facility that is for the outdoor space area outside of the restaurant space. We are a hospitality operation here.
Okay.
So they are finishing construction on a bathroom that is not affiliated with the restaurant.
Okay, that makes sense. So can you tell us more about your projected opening date of March 30th? Because from the pictures, it looks a little chaotic. Tell us
Yeah, I
more
can
about your
absolutely do
plan
that.
to get open by the 30th.
Yes, yep. So we do have our kitchen space is completed. So countertops are installed. All kitchen equipment is installed with the exception of our dispensing area, which we do have on site. We are just waiting on installation, which we anticipate happening in the next 2 weeks by the 14th. The projected opening being the 30th is that there are still some construction aspects, again, outside of the restaurant space that need to be completed. And that specifically is in reference to our structures for our guest use. So the additional timeline there is based around that construction. Weather's been holding that up a bit. And so that extra 2 weeks is to complete those projects.
Can I ask a question? Yeah, please. Would this restaurant space be open to the public or is it limited only to under canvas guests?
It would also be open to the public.
Right. All right. Are there any other questions?
So Chair,
Yes, please.
so this one will also require a final. Apparently last week on the 14th, the information was noted, banquet needs locking storage needs to be defined. Indoor dining space is roughly 1,200 square feet, still under massive construction. So they weren't able to see all of the details internal, inside or outside.
Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the representative from Biscuit and Hogs, Ogden. We understand that your projected opening is March 17th.
Hi, yes, Boomer Gotzo, owner of Biscuit and Hogs. Our construction team is just about done. They are out of there the 26th of this month, so a few days, and final touch-ups are included within that. Our final construction that we have is our tabletop surfacing, which will get done the 3rd of the beginning of the month. And then we have scheduled deep clean on the beginning of March to get everything ready for the restaurant.
Can I just say?
Yes,
that
go ahead, Commissioner.
Their pictures look like what I would expect a restaurant saying they're gonna be ready to open on March 17th to look like.
Yes, I agree.
All equipment, everything is in place. We've got our manager team down here in Idaho training for 2 weeks, and we just actively started hiring hourly, daily employees in Ogden. So we are going to hit those dates.
That looks like a March 17th opening to me, just saying.
Anything particular about March 17th?
Are you asking us?
You heard of the Socratic method. Thank you.
So I think that we've got a pretty good idea here about what March 17th looks like. But in addition to that, one of the reasons I'm such a skeptic is I'm seeing how long it's taking things to get done when we have any kind of weather interruption, whether it's rain, because I was down in Moab recently too. And so I couldn't help but look at some of the places we had to deal with last year. And, you know, we remember what the rain did. It comes all of a sudden and wipes everything down. But by way of example, some people I know were supposed to have contractors coming up to Summit County yesterday. They didn't get there. They can't work outside.
We're not waiting. We're not
waiting though, it doesn't appear.
Other than food and alcohol and beverage.
And what I'm trying to point out is anybody who's got work to be done, you know, unless somehow they've got a contractual commitment with actual penalties for being late, with the way we've had winter going, that's why we are skeptic, is because things are taking longer to complete. And I just want to point out to my fellow commissioners that what I think we see here is really something that shows us it's complete. I agree with Commissioner Orton on that this is what we would normally see is I'm ready to go.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right. Are there any other questions on this particular? All right. And then finally, again, we're talking to those that have projected opening dates in March. Stack 571 Burger and Whiskey Bar in South Jordan.
Good morning, Commission. This is Attila Sabo. I'm the president and operating partner. We submitted photos earlier this week along with a letter from our contractor, Quillen Construction, which is a local Riverton general contractor. By just a point of detail, the agenda indicates that Stack 571 is located in South Jordan. It's in Riverton at Mountain View Village.
Thank you for that clarification.
You bet. All of our all of our exterior work is complete. All of our equipment, furniture, fixtures, millwork, tables, chairs, pots, pans, silverware, glassware is on site. And we submitted a letter from Quillen Construction along with our photographs with them outlining the remainder of the work to be done, which would have us with a fire marshal inspection on March 21st, health department inspection on Wednesday, the 22nd, and final inspection for certificate of occupancy on the 23rd. Our management team is on site, active in hiring. This will be our 13th location in 3 different states. We're well versed in pulling together our projects and following a pretty rigid timeline. We also own and operate Wildfin American Grill, which is just been granted its license recently, and our crew is in training. We'll open up early next week to the public. I'm happy to entertain any questions, but we're quite confident our project will be completed and we'll be ready to open as we've outlined.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the commission? Great, we appreciate that. Okay, so we've got to get to decision time here. I do have just a quick point of clarification. We talked about Red Canyon Lodge at Dutch John, and it was mentioned that this does not count against the quota for restaurant licenses. Can you just explain that one more time for us?
Because they're currently licensed at that location. So that license right now would just count towards this license. So it wouldn't take anything off the numbers right now. And I do have to say that there is no construction. There's no construction. Their dispensing system is in because they were previously operating from a different licensee.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
To move this along, and I know we could take some others individually, but it seems the ones that we would have more of a chance of consensus on. And I would move that we approve under the license change of ownership items 1 and 2, and under ready to operate items 1 and 2. On projected future opening, that we approve item number 4 and item number 8, and take those first and then see what everybody else wants to do about the others.
Thank you, Commissioner. And just because I wanted to make sure that I heard it, included in your motion is the approval of item number 3, license change of ownership at number 3, 1 through 3, Zion Canyon Brew Pub, Springdale.
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
thank you. Perfect. Okay, we have a motion before us. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Orton. Discussion to the motion. I have just one question. Red Canyon Lodge, why isn't it just a change of ownership?
When we were discussing with him, the owners, they haven't been open and the owners didn't really want to do an IMA, an interim management agreement. So we thought a new application would be best.
Thanks for specifying that. Okay. Any other discussion to the motion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? Rule that motion passes. So there's still a number here that are very close to opening. I think we're just weighing the issue of potentially not having restaurant licenses for applicants that are absolutely ready to open in the future versus applications that we have before us, giving them a little bit of certainty and time in planning to operate and implement their business plan in the most efficient way. And so that's what we're dealing with here. It's a tough place to be in. Like I said, when I signed up to, well, I don't know that I signed up to be a commissioner. When I was asked to be a commissioner, I said yes. Again, I was not in the mindset of I'd be asking questions about construction schedules, but here we are. So the commission has heard the updates. We have to take, we see pictures, we see those with our own eyes. Our staff does an excellent job of briefing us on those items that remain to be taken care of before these establishments can be operational. And then we all have our personal kind of values around the trade-off between the, like helping the business to operate versus tying our hands to help future businesses. So with that, I guess I would just open it up to see if anyone has a motion to approve any of the conditional licenses today.
Madam Chair, I will not be making a motion, but did want to offer some thought around why that is not the case. The chair and I were up at the legislature this week reviewing the alcohol bill that is being considered with this legislature. And I didn't get the opportunity to point this out because of the extremely limited time that we had to testify before the committee this week. But in the current alcohol bill, there is some changes made to the master restaurant license that will allow some larger chains to apply in more favorable terms under the master restaurant license. So I think there is hope that many of these licensees will move their restaurants out of the pool of full service restaurant licenses into the master license pool. And that, if that were to be the case, that could free up 53 licenses is what I've been told. 53 licenses alone probably isn't even enough to get us through the year, even with the additional licenses we'll get from population. So I want to just express my concern again that we are out of full service restaurant licenses. Basically, I've been talking about this for more than a year now. And I was hoping that I was wrong. I was hoping we wouldn't get to this point. I don't want to ask about bar stools and neon signs and glassware and construction schedules. I'm not an expert in any of those things. And so I think that we find ourselves in a severe scarcity situation for full service restaurant licenses, the same position we've been in for months and months and months with bar licenses. And so I will not be making a motion to approve any of the other restaurants. I would be willing, though, Chair Tenner, to consider a limited special commission meeting if we get to a point where we need to approve these restaurants because they are open and we're going to be hurting their business by not allowing the license. But that's going to be a very limited and I think timely need that may or may not happen considering our next commission meetings on the 30th. So I just wanted to take a minute and sort of, reiterate the situation that we find ourselves in as a commission related to full service restaurant licenses, and would ask my fellow commissioners to add anything to that if they had further thoughts.
Thank you, Commissioner.
One additional thought I might have, complete agreement with you, Commissioner Tui. One thought with restaurant licenses, slightly different than with bar licenses. Restaurants, and I think we've had a little bit of conversation on this, restaurants can operate open and function as a restaurant. So I'm wondering if that's something to also consider, is opening their doors and then looking to that special meeting once they've opened their doors as a restaurant to then offer them the ability to then serve alcohol as well. Again, I want it on the record, that's not my optimal situation, especially being in the tourism industry. But with the scarcity that currently exists, perhaps that's the way to look at moving forward. Many of these, I think, would be ready to open on the dates that they are saying, and we just need to be able to see that. And with restaurant licenses, we can see that in how they function and how their business model works.
Thank you, Commissioner. I will note you mentioned the travel and tourism industry. I will mention this is especially difficult to be potentially moving down this path that we're moving down, because I see there are a number of restaurants that if we don't approve them today, are located in places that have a high degree of spring break visitation, and this potentially can impact economic activity in the area, sales tax revenues for these areas, and it's just what we're grappling with, but especially difficult given the situation we're in. So Commissioner Tu made the point she will not be making a motion. I think we need to move this along. However, I do want to allow any of my fellow commissioners to make a motion to approve any of these if they feel that the evidence presented was compelling.
I just want to add actually that because we are in this position, as we are with the bar licenses, that any photos that we get,
Yes.
better that they are. If your tables are out, if you're just artwork, whatever it is on the walls, it makes us look like it's more ready to open. I think that's really helpful.
Thank you. Yes, critical. It looks like we'll take some public comment on this. Go ahead, Mr. Barth, but as he's coming up, I will just say, as chair, I'm very open to calling a special commission meeting specifically for this list. I do not think that this commission should be in a position of regularly calling special commission meetings to open. It's just the time that we commit to this job is enough to begin with. And so for this specific list, I think very open to it, but I think we need to be careful about creating an expectation of that. Mr. Barth.
So sorry, and I would urge you not to do this. I think you're going to end up having maybe 5 different individual special commission meetings unless you're willing to do that. We are actively working on the issue at the legislature. You're close to the situation that you are with the bar, but you're not there. You don't have any bar licenses. You've got 17 restaurant licenses. You've got businesses that have invested millions of dollars into these things, and they would like some assurance. That's why the legislature created the conditional license, so that we can move forward with some assurances. I don't see any other restaurants, certainly with the 5 that I'm talking about, that are going to be able to come in, make an application and get going and bump them from the position that they're in. I don't think these people are ready to go. That's why the conditional license is there. You're not going to, I think, realistically bump these 5 for somebody else that's coming in ahead of them, because that's just not the reality of where we are. I actually think it's better for the legislature to hear the message that we're not getting close, but that we have no restaurant licenses. So I would urge you to approve these 5 that you think will be ready to go before the next commission meeting, so that they can operate, so that they can open with their business model, the way it works, the way they've sent the reservations out, the way people have called up and said, we want to stay there with what they anticipate.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Barth. All right, we're gonna just have to wrap this up. Is there a motion on this agenda? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. We'll allow.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I was just going to speak to the issue you said about how it is upcoming tourist season, especially in Moab. There's the Jeep Safari starting April 1st, which is a big tourist draw. And it would be really important to our proprietors to be able to plan ahead for that and have the license in time for that. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you for putting that on the record. All right, I'm looking from side to side to see if there is a motion. All right, unfortunately, we will not be taking any further action on restaurant applications in this meeting, but please, I will instruct staff to work closely with us, acknowledging the spring break issue. I would be open to entertaining a special meeting. Commissioner, go ahead.
I'm gonna make a motion.
Okay.
To approve, sorry. Licenses 1, 2, 4, and 5. 3. Oh, sorry, 5. I had to check mark 5. 1, 2, and 5. 3, I'm still struggling with just where everything's at and what that looks like. But 1, 2, and 5 to me look like they could be open before our meeting next month and that would alleviate us from that special meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Randall. So the motion is to approve, and let me make sure that I have this right. Horizon, the application for Horizon View Restaurant, Auto Camp Zion Restaurant, and Stack 571. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Can the chair second? I'm going to second that motion. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to say, I would feel more comfortable in this particular instance, given the locations of these applicants, I would feel more comfortable planning on kind of looking towards, say, a March 15th date, which, you know, to have a special meeting for those who are ready by then, so that they will still have time to meet the needs of the, you know, the spring break or whatever brings. I'm not comfortable jumping ahead and going ahead and giving them licenses, but I agree with the chair and the vice chair that having a special commission meeting in this particular instance with the particular needs of these applicants makes sense.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I will not be supporting the motion, even though I would love to. We are just, with all due respect to the public comments that were made, we are not in a situation where we are completely out of licenses, but we have to plan for that situation, and the legislature is not addressing it in this bill. I've seen the substitute as well as the public has. It wasn't addressed in the hearing this week. It is not being addressed in this bill as far as I am aware. And so for that reason, I cannot support the motion.
Right, thank you.
Question. Can you guys go over again which ones were approved beforehand?
You're good.
All right, thanks.
All right, so we have a motion before us. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're gonna go, sorry, Vicky, go ahead. Clarification on the actual motion, or? Well, could you do a roll call vote for us, actually? Aye. Great, thank you, Vicky. So I will rule that motion does not carry, and we are not approving any additional restaurant licenses in this meeting. I'm going to take chair's prerogative and skip us ahead in the agenda, and then we will come back. Director Clayson will make sure to prompt me to come back to limited service restaurant applicants, on-premise banquet applicants, and on-premise tavern applicants. But I just want to make sure that we have a pretty robust discussion ahead of us, and I want to make sure that we have the mental energy for it on bar establishment applications. So let's go ahead and move forward to the bar establishment applicants. Rob, can you brief us on what we're looking at today?
All right, we have two changes of ownership. We have the Blackbird Bar in Cedar City. This was Mike's in Cedar City. And then we have Bobby Junior's. This used to be just Junior's. Blackbird Bar in Cedar City is conditional, and Bobby Junior's is no longer conditional. So both of these applications are complete and meet statutory requirements.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Rob. Let's go ahead and handle these. I understand that there is a representative for Blackbird Bar with us. Does the commission have any questions of these of Rob? And then I would just say, if the representative from Blackbird Bar would like to make a statement, we'd invite you to, but it's not necessary. So any questions of the commission? All right, and then the representative from Blackbird Bar. Okay, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here. All right, I'd be looking for a motion then. All right, so Commissioner Orton moves to approve the change of ownerships. Is there a second? seconded by Commissioner Tui. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, those changes of ownership are approved. We have 10 applications to consider. Rob, can you brief us on what we need to know before we move into discussion?
Yes, we have one full year bar license available. And then we have one winter. We have 4 places that are ready to go. The first one used to be Westside Tavern, now it's Squatters in Wasatch. They currently operate under the winter seasonal. We have Fisher Brewing, which are operating under a tavern license. About Time Pub and Grub in Bluffdale, and then HK Brewing Collective in Salt Lake. Those are the 4 that are ready to go. The future ones, we have Acre. They're not going to be ready until April. We have Level Crossing. They will be ready to go May 1st. We're going to actually strike Second Summit. This will go on to next month. Then we have Yuki. They're projected to open it in July, About Time Saratoga, August, and then Marquee in November. So we do have people here for each of these licenses for the 4 that are ready to go, if you'd like to hear from them.
Thank you, Rob. Let's see. So I'm going to actually call on Commissioner Orton, who chairs our compliance committee, to brief us on the discussion in that committee. But before I do that, I will just note that my intention is to hear from those applicants that are ready to open: Squatters in Wasatch, Fisher Brewer Company, About Time Pub and Grub Bluffdale, and HK Brewing Collective today. So Commissioner Orton, I know that there was a robust discussion, given we have 1 license here and we have operators that are ready to go. Was there a recommendation that's come out of compliance committee for us?
Thank you. And there wasn't a recommendation. We didn't have a consensus, and I think it would be really helpful for all of us to hear from the 4 who are ready to go.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Westside Tavern, I guess Squatters in Wasatch, AKA Westside Tavern. Is a representative with us today?
Oh, pass.
Right. Okay. I was gonna say, you know the drill. All right, Fisher Brewing Company, Salt Lake City. You know the drill. Please state your name and affiliation for the record.
Tim Dwyer, co-owner at Fisher Brewing. Unfortunately, I do know the drill. And here we are. Nothing has changed. We are ready to go. All of our systems are in place. Our staff is trained. We are ready. We also are celebrating our 6th anniversary this weekend. So it would be really great timing to pull down a liquor license and have some champagne in the house. Our expansion is going well. We have pushed that back a little bit because of some doors that are on order from Germany that are late, but we're ready to go now. We had the busiest January we've ever had, and the demand for other products outside of just the beer, including the 5 High Point beers that I have sitting in my cold case that I can't serve on tap. It's frustrating to not be able to serve the products that we make in our own place, and a full bar license is required.
Mr. Dwyer, do you have the count of the number of months that you've been ready to operate without a license, without the license?
Since we put in our application in October.
And so that's how many months? 7? So 7 months you've been ready to go for 7. Thank you. Thank you. Questions for Mr. Dwyer?
And just to confirm, if you got the license today, you could use the license for your main bar, even though that the separate section is not fully done yet.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you expand a little bit on when your expansion will be done? You said there was a delay with the doors.
Sure. And I would like to just point out that it's very important that we get this so that we have certainty for the expansion. One big part of our expansion, which I've spoken to the commission about in the past, is that we have a private event space. And in order to book weddings, people want full service bar. I've got more than 12 people who want to come and celebrate with us in various capacities, and all of them want full service bars and specialty cocktails and everything as part of their event. We need this for the certainty of that.
Can you address my question, please? Thank you. We know.
We hope to be open in April,
With the expansion.
with the expansion,
When in April?
as soon as probably mid-April.
But just to be clear, you would begin utilizing an alcohol license immediately.
Today. We
Thank
would be
you.
selling our beer today, and we would be putting in our wine and liquor order today.
Okay, thank you.
And you have how many seat? You have 150 seats currently?
Yes, and we've been using our covered and heated patio space, even in this weather. We are filling up every day. We're a
And
high volume place.
Does the 150 include that space as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Dwyer. All right, About Time Pub and Grub, Bluffdale, you know the drill. You look different.
I don't look like Tim Ryan.
Please state your name. Please
But
state your
he did
name and
send me
affiliation.
with his shirt.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure we were all clear. I absolutely did. So anyway, we are ready. The building's done. We have staff already trained and working at our other locations. We are just waiting for a license. We have good partnerships with all of our beer and food vendors who are all willing to do a hot shot for us, and we could get it all tomorrow.
Thank you. Will you just restate, just for the record again, your name and,
Yes.
yeah,
Dan Eckersley, I'm a Director of Operations for About Time Pub.
thank you. Appreciate that. Mr. Eckersley, how many months have you been ready to open?
We've just been ready to take this month.
Thank you. Any questions of the commission?
So I'm a little confused when I look at the application information versus, are you in Bluffdale or Riverton?
You're in Bluffdale. We're right across the street from where the prison is on 146 and Porter Rockwell Road. You can see the prison demolition from our location on our patio. So we are right there in Bluffdale, and we'll be the only licensee in the city of Bluffdale. So city officials are very excited to get us open.
I have a question about that because that's what, so we, in our information, right? So we see the only licensee for Bluffdale or the only licensee within the zip code. I've got the map up in front of me though. Are there bars within, I don't know, 5 miles of you?
I think the nearest
No,
bar
you're-
is Draper.
Okay.
But not in Bluffdale.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I just see several that are within, I see one that's within 2 miles. So just to make the point, I understanding the revenue impact does make a difference for the city, for Bluffdale. So just acknowledging that, but also acknowledging that from an access perspective, there are other options within the area.
Yeah, well, without crossing I-15 and doing that.
That's a fair point, actually. Thank you for making that point.
There's a large population that's in that area.
Okay.
Who have to travel on the freeway. Less
Which
than
we
5
don't want
miles,
them
but
doing that after they've had even one drink. So thank you. Okay.
Well,
Okay, thank you.
that gets to the concern that I had about, because the population numbers that you gave us are for Riverton.
I'm not sure that the applicant actually gives us population numbers. I think it's the department that gives us.
It's in our packet. It said
Numbers.
something like 48,000, but the
The
actual
department does,
population
but-
in Bluffdale is like 15,000.
Yeah, it comes up automatic in our system from putting in the zip code. So the zip code picks that.
City boundary specific.
Right.
Just making the point that the applicant hasn't given us that number. You're like, what number are you talking about?
It just goes to the number of people who are available in that area, because most of that zip code is the former state prison. And so the residential numbers are very small.
yeah, there's
And
actually a
so-
very large, there's a very large complex just to the southwest of us. Very dense housing, apartments, townhomes, all of that stuff is right there. So there's a very large population in that area.
But is that in Riverton or Harriman?
That's in Bluffdale.
Okay.
That's south of 146 between that Rockwell Porter Rockwell. Let's get that back.
Okay, because I was looking at the residential. This is how obnoxious things have gotten. We
No,
are
it's
getting
true.
down to looking at the number of houses.
It's true.
And the populations in the area.
Looking at the number of houses to drink and how many times.
And to kind of address it, like we don't have the luxury of opening up as a restaurant and opening up and just serving food. We don't have the luxury of serving beer and waiting on a license because we are a bar. So we do have to wait. We've made $1.5 million investment in doing that bar. We've already trained staff. We have people ready to go at our other locations that are trained, ready to go. They're under our very strict RASP. So they know what we require of them. They know our menu. They know how to do everything. We've installed everything. Everything is ready to go. We can't open, and we're holding about a $40,000 per month in liability every month we're not open.
That, can you please restate that? The liability per month that you're not open?
Every month that we're not open, it's gonna cost us $40,000 in holding that staff, paying rent, paying insurance, doing all these things to just hold that building. And all the investment that we've made on top of the $1.5 million that we've made to create that building. So.
Thank you for making that point. Again, it goes back to just my concern around, I understand the quota is in place for a reason, and it's around public safety and, appropriately limiting consumption. But the way it works out with the number that it works out right now, we're talking about this impacting, small business in a way that I think that we could balance public safety against in a more appropriate way. So thank you for making the point about those numbers.
Can I
Yes, go ahead,
also-
Commissioner.
Can I also ask, when and if do you plan to apply for a full restaurant license?
We would not apply for a full restaurant license at this time.
Okay, not at this time, but anytime in the near future?
We're not currently planning on doing that.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
I guess I have a
Go ahead,
question
Commissioner.
based on what you've just asked, and that would be of Fisher. And since this particular applicant, about time, says they have $40,000 a month holding, what is Fisher holding out? I mean, what's this costing Fisher in terms of holding costs, in terms of staff and other things if they don't get a license?
Thank you. Mr. Dwyer.
That's a tough one for me to quantify because we are lucky enough to be able to operate as a tavern, but we are losing revenue. We are losing customers who are looking for a full service, who walk out our doors because they can't taste the IPA that we make on site. And so they turn around and leave and go to the neighboring breweries that do have a full bar license and allow that. To answer your question, I mean, we're going to be having somewhere in the $30,000 range for what we have invested in our expansion that we'll have to cover. And that's a monthly bill that we really would like to make a dent in by offering additional products.
So, we have some of these folks who have staff hired and they have other ongoing expenses like leases and not bringing in any income. Have you made any kind of estimate as to like how many more people you'll need to hire if you get a bar license? So how much, and whether they're on staff now, and if you weren't getting a bar license, how many of these people would you be letting go? In other words, how many people are you holding in place right now waiting for a bar license?
We're planning on at least doubling our staff because our floor area is more than doubling.
Okay, but how many now are working for you that wouldn't be working for you if you weren't applying for a bar license?
We have the staff that we need now, but I would assume that we would be cutting that staff if we weren't able to fully utilize the event space. Probably 5 jobs are in
But I also want to be really careful about that, because when you look at small business owners, we don't want to penalize them either to say, just because you're not spending, or you have a chain that has $40,000 a month, but you have a small business owner who isn't spending as much, but that's their livelihood. I just want to be really careful about balancing that.
Sure. And I would also like to just say, like, I understand this is a tough thing for you guys, and
we appreciate it.
Well, I don't like having to put myself against another business. We both need the same thing.
Thank you.
For our communities.
Let's go ahead and move this on, just because we'd like to hear from some of the other applicants. Oh, so let's go ahead. Let's just get through everyone. I want to make sure there's time for everyone. I know we have some public comment, but I do want to hear from every applicant that we're considering before we go to public comment. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, here I keep on saying, okay, okay. Okay, Vicky, did you hear that? It sounds like Tim Ryan from Norway. All right, we'll get on that. I guess I'll just say it, what I'm balancing again, it has to come down to this is a real impact for business that we were talking about, that the representative from About Time was able to quantify in a certain way. But I'll just agree with Commissioner Terrazon that it's not like, what have we been tasked to do? It's just one of these things where I'm making the point where this is where we are because of the arbitrary quota that we currently have. And so whether or not that's should weigh on our decision right now, that's for each of us to decide. Sir, I'm going to actually go ahead and just finish out with the rest of our applicants, and then we'll bring to you if there's additional backup. Representative from HK Brewing Collective, and then I also understand that West Side Tavern Squatters in Wasatch is back. Welcome, and please state your name and affiliation for the record.
Sure. My name is Kate Lubing. And my name is Hannah Hendrickson. And we're the co-owners of HK Brewing Collective. And we also know the drill. We've been coming to these meetings in person for probably a year and a half, and you're in an awful position. We recognize it and have watched it. We would be happy for any of our colleagues who we love dearly in this room to get the license. But of course, we also are very much after it.
Thank you. Any questions?
Could you just brief us on like where you are as far as like your investment? Because is this the first time we're hearing
Popped
from
out
you?
of nowhere, huh? So we took an alternative approach after probably 12 or 13 months of coming to the commission meetings and listening to you talk about construction plans and seats and numbers. And we thought that it was the best tactic after hearing that you wanted to see people that were ready. So we got ready and then we came to you. It was only last year, I feel like maybe November, December, that somebody on the commission had commented that it is nice to be able to kind of plan. But at that point, we were in the thick of construction and we didn't want to then put an application in, have construction delays, supply delays, which we did, which all of our colleagues have had, and then be on the list and be in a reoccurring theme for you guys. So we waited, we worked our butts off, we got our space open and ready, and we are ready for a bar license to operate today.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. Or go ahead, Commissioner.
We could open this afternoon, tomorrow. We're open, seats ready.
It seemed to be a little unclear, and I was trying to put together a chart and everything, but you're basically, if we gave you a license today, you'd go down by your alcohol and you could open tomorrow. Is that right? Okay.
Can I ask one more question? Are you able to operate as anything other than a bar?
No.
Can you explain that, please?
Sure. 50% of our sales in the small events that we've done have been kombucha cocktails. And so we plan on that for revenue. Yeah, I mean, it's a direct correlation of what we're trying to do, which is kombucha cocktail bar, which is a new concept to Utah, thriving on the West Coast. But that's what people come in for. Even people, colleagues of ours, friends of ours that we know are avid beer drinkers, we're coming in drinking kombucha cocktails. So we can't be anything else. Is there anything else?
I think that's all. Thank you very much. Let's go to, I understand that West Side's Tavern Squatters and aka Squatters in Wasatch is available and online.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Are you able to hear me?
Thank you. And you know the drill as well. Please
do.
state your name and affiliation for the record.
Sure. My name is Libby Taylor. I'm the general manager of the West Side Tavern, now Squatters Wasatch Tap Room. We have been operating with our winter seasonal license and seeing the benefits of that immensely. People are staying longer. More people are coming to check us out. We're able to serve, these products that Utah is known for. We're able to serve a hop rising, in the brewery that it's made, which just is such a great story to tell, especially over this last weekend when we had so many visitors from out of town. Yeah, so we're just really hoping that, we don't have to go through this again come May 1st and go back to draft beer and having to, really kind of scrimp and claw our way to get people to stick around in our tap room.
Thank you. I won't ask you the question. I will just tell you, I'll make the point. Your application has been before us for 7 months and you have been ready to operate for 7 months.
Yes.
Just want to make sure my fellow commissioners know those numbers. Thank you. Any questions for this applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. I understand that Tim Ryan, represented About Time Pub and Grub, is available online and would like to address the commission.
Yes, I am, and I would like to. Thank you.
Mr. Ryan, can you speak up? Unfortunately, I don't think the connection is good.
No, I'm
Oh, there we go.
unmuted.
Very good now.
Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Oh, sorry, best laid plans and terrible timing, but thank you for hearing us. About Time Pub and Grub in Bluffdale, Utah, has been waiting for a license for over a year. We've not been ready to open, but we are now. So we completed our construction, we've hired our staff, and we're ready to go. So, I'm so sympathetic toward the other applicants, of course, and I think it's a legislative issue, and it's disparaging that our legislature will not react to the market forces in our community and release more licenses. I'm hoping in this session that they do. However, here we sit in Bluffdale, fully ready to open with a brand new establishment, hired employees, fully licensed, business license, DABS inspection, health department inspection. We are done, ready to open, menus on the table. Our presentation has shown that. And the only thing that keeps us from opening tonight is because if we get this license today, we can't place an order until we have the license. So we're ready to go. And our facility will add to the economic climate in Utah. Again, the other applicants are deserving. They are operating in some cases, and they are not fully ready to open, to be quite honest, in others, because you've heard they have construction issues for their expanded spaces. But they will get there, and they will get a license eventually. But we are ready to go right now, today. We are paying our employees week in and week out in our other spaces. We are paying our rent, we are paying utilities, we are paying insurance, we are paying taxes on a beautiful $3 million empty space. And, I think that we could not do more to demonstrate that we are ready to be a responsible operator in Utah. And so we really strongly request the commission grant us this license today.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
I'm available for any questions on the timeline, employees, costs, etc.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. We appreciate you sharing those sentiments with us. We did ask some questions of your colleague. Are there any additional questions on About Time Pub and Grub?
I do have a question about the social media presence, and it came to our attention that your business partner has said that you're opening on Saturday, and that was a Facebook post. So I'm curious about how and why that was made public without a license.
We want to open. We hope to get this license today, right? Any business wants to promote itself and be ready to open. I mean, we're unfortunately, at the mercy of the situation that we're in, right? So I think Joe puts his best foot forward in a positive mindset and saying we're going to open on Saturday. Obviously, if we don't get a liquor license today, we will not, right? I mean, we are a sports bar, right? in Utah, we are the number one most recognized sports bar with multiple locations, and that is what we do. So we hope to be open on Saturday, right? If we're not granted a license, then quite clearly we won't be able to open until at least May.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for answering that
So,
question.
but there's no other, we will not open under any other license type because it's not practical for us. Our customers know our business. They know what they expect when they
Mr.
come
Ryan,
to
thank,
Bowtime
thank,
Pub and
Mr. Ryan,
Grub.
thank you. I need to move this along, and
Yep.
please know that we
Thank you.
hear you and we hear all of the applicants, and we appreciate you, calling in from
Yep,
abroad. All right. So I would like, if there's any public comment on this, I'd invite you to the podium now. If not, I'm gonna come back to discussion from the commission. Okay. Well, we're just again, just in a very difficult position. We have one license to grant. It is my, we need to grant a license. I don't think there's and I know that's an obvious statement. However, I mean, there is some path where we don't grant a license. So we need to leave this meeting, granting a license. And so I would just be looking for a motion to get this moving, to have consideration.
I would move that we give this month's license to Fisher.
Right, we have a motion from Commissioner Orton to approve a license for Fisher Brewing Company. Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Commissioner Terrazon. Discussion to this motion.
In our compliance subcommittee meeting, there was a lot of discussion between Bowtime, Bluffdale, and Fisher Brewing, and the different factors that we need to consider between the two applicants. And we did not come to a conclusion. We had commissioners split and undecided, me being undecided. And I'm still having a hard time really committing one way or the other between Bowtime, Bluffdale, and Fisher Brewing. I do also want to say that I appreciate the position of Squatters and the West Side Tavern and HK, because you took a totally different path, HK, than other applicants have. And that is a path that is totally open to you. There is nothing that says that you're gonna automatically get a license because you've been waiting for 20 months. It's a path that is totally open and a smart one to take in some instances. And I don't want you to think you're being penalized for that, because we do appreciate that you're ready to open. For me, it's coming down to the financial impact of these applicants on the state, because I see our duty related to bar licenses as returning the most to the state as we can with the scarcity that we're given. And when I look at the numbers between Fisher and Bowtime, Bluffdale, with 150 available to be seated within Fisher now, with that number understanding going up to 250 with the special event space. Bowtime is reporting 200 seats. They have the same number of estimated employees. It really is, that to me is a big wash. There's no way to pick. And so the next factor to consider would be density of bar licenses. And with that, I think I'm more in favor of Bluffdale getting the license, just for the fact that there is more of a scarcity in the area. Even if you just Google bars, according to the addresses provided, as we heard from Fisher, if somebody doesn't get what they want there, they walk somewhere else. That's not fair to Fisher, but density is one thing the commission is asked to consider. So those are my thoughts. I'll be voting no. Nothing. This is just, I'm trying to make it a data-driven decision for myself. So I wanted to share those thoughts before we voted.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll take the chair's prerogative and share my insight on this. I will be voting aye here. I am looking at the economic impact, and I'm basing it on just the food and beverage sales. So slightly more at Fisher Brewing Company, but again, this is this is where we are. Commissioner Jacobson.
Well, since it's obvious that I'm in the minority here, I don't even know if I should say anything, but frankly, I woke up twice in the middle of the night thinking about this. I went downstairs and I did this little chart. And the reason I did the chart was because I couldn't really figure out how you could decide which one was better than the other. I thought, and actually I was looking very heavily at Squatters because Squatters has a very good reputation in the state for being able to generate revenue. And I think they were underlooked, but for the fact that what came down, I looked at was who's operating right now, who could survive until May. And because I would hope that the legislature would let us have these licenses as soon as possible. I'm pretty sure that our legislative leads and many of the other legislators understand the frustration that we're working under. In any event, I only share the fact that I had to do that because in trying to be objective about all of this and not getting overwhelmed with emotion, it really is a very, very close decision. And it seemed to me as I sat here today that because this thing is so subjective, you can even take something like being located in Bluffdale and say, well, but there are other bars available to people who live there. And that subjectivity then destroys any attempt that we have in trying to make this objective. Now, I do, to a great extent, agree with Commissioner Toohey that when it really comes down to looking at this, the only difference between all these applicants, besides for some seats and things like that, is one is in an area that, according to our records, is underserved. And it's going to now 10 years from now, Bluffdale is not going to be considered a rural area or part of rural Utah. But right now, that's the only thing that I see that stands out that's any different. And I do see the ability, as much as I would like to support Fisher and what they're doing, they have the ability to be in business right now. They are operating a tavern. They can get a special use permit between now and May for all of the events that they want to have. HK is open, but HK can't even sell beer at this point in time. So to that extent that, HK is in an area where they're getting economically hurt. And of course, Squatters looking at May 1st. May 1st could be draconian for them. But in the end, I honestly think that you have to put aside the fact of who your favorite might be or who, maybe impresses you with what they're going to do and look at where is it that the state is going to benefit by and the people of the state of Utah are going to benefit by, and where is it that what we're asking, whose business are we asking basically to sit there and pay rent and not be able to do anything? And unfortunately, when you look at that, it becomes very, very difficult and it hurts a lot. That's why I agree with Commissioner Toohey that I can't bring myself to vote for Fisher at this point in time. But I would do everything I can to make sure that they get the permits they need between now and May to be able to use that space if it's available and to be able to get the benefit that they're looking for. But not at the same time, not keep this other applicant sitting waiting for May without being able to conduct any business whatsoever.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobson.
I just say real quickly.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
As far as, I don't think it's anybody's has a favorite. I don't even drink beer, so I don't. But one of my main concerns, though, on the opposite side of that is that I also don't want to discourage small businesses from opening by saying licenses are going to people who make more money than you. And that those larger bars represent a different population as well, especially the neighborhood that Fisher is in is also it's underserved in a different way, economically and diverse wise. So I just want to keep all of those things in mind as well.
Thank you. I appreciate all the sentiments of all of the commissioners and really from where I sit as chair and working with all of you, seeing that you all are taking an objective look at these things and come at it with a different viewpoint, and just appreciate everyone's work on this. And I know that many of us were up We're up a couple of times over the past week in the middle of the night thinking about this. All right, let's go ahead and vote.
Chairwoman?
Oh, yeah, go.
I would just like to counter a couple of things that were mentioned in the first place. I just want it to be known that I have spoken to Mr. Dwyer exactly one time in my life, other than right here. So this is not a favoritism thing or an emotional situation. I don't drink beer either. First of all, there are significant opportunity costs associated with Fisher that we do not have at about time because of the expansion that is going to be opening in April. And also being able for them to be able to sell the products that they are currently brewing, that they are not allowed, they're allowed to sell for people to take home, but they are not allowed to serve. So that's the first thing. And second thing is about time. I think they have 6 licensees right now currently. And both Tim Ryan and our staff have said that those employees that are being characterized as being carried are actually working in their other licensees. Fisher Beer doesn't have another licensee. This is it. This is where this is their bread and butter. So they don't have somewhere to spread those employees out.
No.
And as far as the underserved community, there's no doubt that Bluffdale doesn't have a lot of licenses. But I would also like to point out that 84101 goes from North Temple all the way over to 1300 South. So all of the bars that are located downtown, but are a mile to a mile and a half, and in some places 2 miles, are supposedly in the same area as Fisher. And there really aren't very many bars. And Commissioner, you've made, I think your point is very well taken. I think we just need to vote.
I want to
Okay,
say
go ahead.
one
Okay.
final thing.
Permission to speak again if
There
possible.
is, to my knowledge, the closest bar to Fisher is almost a half mile away. And that's a walking population versus a driving population on the other side of town. So anyway.
Thank you for pointing those things out. Let's go ahead and vote. I think we need roll call on this because my ears going both ways counting won't work for me. So Vicky, can you help me with a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Orton? Aye. Commissioner Terrazon? Aye. Commissioner Randall? No. Commissioner Jacobson? No. Commissioner Parrish? No.
All right, thank you very much. The chair will rule that motion fails. As I said, it is a high priority that a license leaves today. So I would be looking for another motion.
I'll make the motion that we award the bar license to About Time Bluffdale.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Congratulations. And I know that our legislative leads listen in on these meetings, and I just hope that they work on what they're currently working on, and we have some additional licenses ASAP. Okay, now we need to go back to limited service restaurant applicants, Corey, and let's go ahead and just handle these really quickly.
Good afternoon, commissioners. There are 8. The first one, Bahalia Pizzeria in Bryce, is conditional. Nawab's Indian Restaurant in Draper is conditional. Hoover's Restaurant in Marysville is no longer conditional. And they are actually asking for a summer seasonal license, which means we'll need to split a full service license to accommodate that request if you approve that. Kenshin Asian Noodle Bar is complete. Dirty Bird Fried Chicks in Riverton is conditional. Neighborhood Wing Company in Tooele is no longer conditional, it's complete. Karma Cafe in Tooele is conditional. And Bombay Garden Cuisine in India is no longer conditional and complete. All applications meet statutory requirements.
Thank you, Corey. Any questions on these? I'd be looking for a motion if there are no questions.
I'll make a motion that we approve the limited service restaurant applicants.
Thank you, Commissioner Tui. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, those are approved. Those limited service restaurant applications are approved. Next, Rob, we have an on-premise banquet applicant. It's Auto Camp Zion. We've seen pictures of this premise. Go ahead and fill us in on this specific application.
All right, we have 30 banquet licenses available, so we have plenty. Auto Camp in Virgin, it is conditional. They're planning on opening there at the end of March. The application conditional is complete and meets statutory requirements.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Move to approve by Commissioner Jacobson, seconded by Commissioner Tui. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That application is approved. On-premise tavern applicants. We've got a change of ownership and new applications. Let's handle these all together, Rob.
We have 31 licenses available for taverns. The first one is the change of ownership, Zion Canyon Brew Pub. It is complete. It is not conditional. It's ready to go. Then we have 2 new applicants. We have Pete's Place Bar and Grill in Ogden. It is conditional. And then Apex Brewing in Salt Lake City is conditional. They're complete, just conditional.
Right, thank you. Any questions? All right, Commissioner Parrish has moved that we approve these applications. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Those tavern applications are approved. We did not receive any notice for general comment virtually, and I don't believe that anyone signed up to make general comment. Are there any additional comments from commissioners? Oh, okay. Come on up. I'll take your word for it.
I just wanted to put it on the record. Thank you so much, Commissioner Tui and Tenart and Director Clayson for being at the Legislative Committee meeting on Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. I heard you. Just really appreciate it. We'd like to think that all of our voices as constituents are equal, but you guys' position really shows that you are helping, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'd be looking for a final motion.
Move to adjourn.
All right, is there a second? All in favor? All right, thanks, commissioners.